All right, welcome back, everybody. And of course, if you've just come to us now, I suppose you want to get an update as to how things are looking around the country and the elections. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing for you now, is just take a breakdown and look nationally, provincially, just to see what's happening around the country. And to help us through this, we've got Maswele Ralebona with us. He's, of course, from Specialist Research at the SABC. Good to see you, Maswele. So we are 96% of the votes that are being counted. Do you want to give us a run through nationally, just to tell us how things are looking as a big picture?
Thank you, Leanne. As you can see, so far 96% of the voting counting completed, and the ANC is leading at 46%. And if by 100% we are still below 50%, or the ANC is still around here, then that will mean the ANC has dropped from 53% in 2016 to less than 50% in these elections.
And first, I mean, that's something we need to highlight. This will be the first time ever that the ANC would have dropped below that crucial 50% mark for them.
The DA is also showing a decline from 2016. It's now sitting at 21.3%. EFF, a growth from 8.8% in 2016, they are now sitting at 10.39%. When it comes to the councils that the big parties are holding, there you have it. The ANC will be able to control an outright majority where they don't have to negotiate with any other party. They have 113 so far, followed by the DA at 11. Then you've got IFP. The IFP is back on the roll at 8. The EFF has only registered councillors, both PR and ward councillors, of which this year alone they have managed to get more than about 17 ward councillors, whereas in the past, around this time, actually at the end of the counting in 2016, the EFF was sitting at 3 ward councillors.
That's a massive increase for them then.
It's a big jump. You'll remember also another aspect that we must not leave behind, the independents.
Yes.
There's been so much talk of independence. The number of independents who were contesting the elections this year have moved from more than 700 in 2016 to 1,546 this year. In 2016, only 27 independents managed to make the cut. But look at it now, the independents have 49 wards. They've collected 49 wards. A big jump from 2016. Let's check the hung councils. These are the municipalities that do not have an outright winner. Leanne, as you can see here, in 2016, we had 27 hung councils. This year, with 96% of the total votes counted, we are sitting at 62 hung councils. This is where negotiations are supposed to start happening in the next 14 days.
And this is where the attention is going to go to now, because this is the highest it's ever been in an election that we've ever seen. And I mean, what happens if there is no negotiation that can actually be reached, or there can't be any deal reached in these negotiations? What happens then?
According to the Municipal Structures Act 117 of 1998, Section 45, subsection 1 and 2, after the declaration of the results, municipalities, all councils, are supposed to go sit and elect the executive. How do they elect the executive? They start by electing a speaker, then they elect a mayor. If they can't reach a consensus, if they can't agree to work together, especially in these 62 hung councils, the Act provides that the provincial government must go in there, take over the administration of the council, write to the IEC to hold the elections within the next 90 days, which means the municipal will go into by-elections.
Oh, here we go. Let's have a look and see. We've got a couple of maps. Perhaps it'll give us even a deeper understanding as to the hung councils. Here we go. So, do you want to have a look at these and talk us through some of those hung councils at the moment? So, this is in the province of the Western Cape.
There were 8 hung councils out of 25 in total in 2016. Many of these hung councils, especially in the Western Cape and the Northern Cape, are small municipalities. They are very small, of which some of them have like 8 seats, 9 seats, and one thing that many of us don't know or do not realize is that there are municipalities that do not have PR seats. Completely formed out of wards, like the Canaland in the Western Cape, where the party ICOSA is currently leading, but not with majority. They will have to go into coalition with anyone. But what happened in the past 2 weeks, actually, in September, was that ICOSA was in a working relationship with the DA. Last month, in September, ICOSA went into a coalition with the ANC. Now, the same municipality, Canaland local municipality in the Western Cape, is a hung council, which means, I guess it's obvious that they will continue their relationship with the ANC.
Well, but I remember looking at those results yesterday, and I mean, if they go into a coalition with another independent party, they could completely be away from any of these the major parties. I mean, because I think we were looking at some of them, and I'm not too sure. I don't have it in my mind, but I mean, I know that they could form a partnership, 2 independents, and they could control the whole thing. So it would be interesting to see what does happen there. So you say 14 days. That's how long they've got now to get
after this, which means
so tonight I'm seeing a release coming through here saying that the president is expected to come to the final announcements of the municipal elections, which will be at 6 o'clock this evening. That's the time that they are expecting to do it. So from this evening, 6 o'clock, they got 2 weeks to then figure out what's going to happen.
The next 2 weeks is going to be a marathon, especially for us journalists, where we want to report and tell people what is happening. We want to be part of those negotiations. Who's going in bed with who? And
please don't be a part of the negotiations. You can report on them, but let's not be a part of them. All right, so we've gone through hung councils. We've had a look here. Any interesting provinces that are jumping out to you? I mean, if you want to talk us through them. I know the Free State was quite an interesting one.
Interesting, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Let's go to Maluti-a-Phofung. Okay. You'll remember the issues in Maluti-a-Phofung was the water, especially water in the past 5 years, from 2016, where the residents went on rampage, the ministers, the MECs were in that province promising residents service delivery that never came. The ANC in Maluti-a-Phofung has in the past enjoyed a majority, but this time around, remember, there's a party called MEP16.
Yeah.
This is an organization that was formed by disgruntled, mostly ANC members. Now, the Maluti-a-Phofung local council is a hung council because of this splinter group and many other opposition parties. You've got a new entrant here, belongs to our former COO. He's the president of this party, our former COO, Hlaudi, and he's in the mix there with other opposition parties. There's a possibility that if opposition parties goes into coalition as opposition parties, the ANC will be out of the picture.
Sure. Wow.
Incidentally, MAP 16, those were former ANC councillors who were said to try and expose corruption in Maluti-a-Phofung and found themselves out in the cold, so left the ANC. And they now have come back very strongly, and as you can see, the showing there. So it's going to be a very interesting one, because traditionally the AIC, for example, has gone into coalition with the ANC. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they continue on that pattern, whether the ANC manages to get some of the other smaller parties to go into coalition with them. But it's still going to be a very fine balance. But as you say, Maswili, the opposition can actually shut out the ANC in Maluti-a-Phofung.
That's the situation right now. Let's go to Metsimaholo. A lot has been said about Metsimaholo.
Yeah.
You know that after 2016, there were problems where the municipality ended up being put under administration immediately after the elections, and by-elections were held. The council was dissolved, and then by-elections were held. And because of the conflicts between the ANC and the SACP at the time, the SACP went and tested its power, electorate power in Maluti-a-Phofung, in Metsimaholo. This is where the SACP for the past 5 years was in charge of the municipality. The only municipality that the SACP has ever, or the only government that the SACP has ever controlled in South Africa.
Also interesting, these three, the three leading parties there, two of them will have to find each other during those negotiations to try and form a coalition.
As you can see.
Otherwise, there's going to be a hung council if they do not find common ground.
Then if these three, ANC at 34%, DA 26%, EFF at 25%, if they don't find each other, then it takes us back to what happened in 2016 when the municipality the council was dissolved and forced into a by-election.
Because the three big parties there will have to, two of them,
have to come together.
Have to come together.
Yeah, when you do these, when you look at it like this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, in terms of negotiations, look, you take this, we'll take that. We do this. And I heard that was the kind of messaging that I was getting and hearing about yesterday, where it was almost, I mean, you could hear from the EFF's perspective, they were saying, you know, they want to go in and they want to run something, and they don't want anyone sort of coming in and getting involved in how they lead or run a certain area.
Except it doesn't work like that unless you have an outright win through which you can get control. It is about negotiation. It is about concession, unfortunately. And this is where it's going to become difficult, because in some instances you will find there's a party that has one seat that holds sway, and they may come in making all sorts of outrageous demands, and what do you do? So it's going to be very interesting. But Metsimaholo, considering where it is, and right next to it there, if you go to Gauteng in Mfuleni, the ANC there again losing its outright majority to rule there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that region overall.
The problem right now, Sakina, is that all the municipalities, all the political parties are going into these negotiations with messages outside the negotiation table. Take, for example, yesterday, Emin Mashaba, Action SA, he said no ANC at all.
Yeah.
You've got the EFF, like you had, they say, give us that one, we'll give you that other one.
Yeah.
You know, those are conditions that you cannot simply
it's not a game of cards.
Yeah.
It's not a game of cards.
Yes.
That's not the way.
But I think we should talk more about that going forward, because this is the issue. Are the parties once again putting themselves and their own personal and party interests ahead of those of the electorate? Because this is what has landed us where we are. So it's supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah.
You look at the concerns and the interests of the electorate first and the party second, ideally. But clearly, if we're going to see more of the same, then I don't know where we're going.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to pause this conversation because I do know that there is so much to talk about. I mean, we've
But you
only
can come
looked
back, Mas
at
Willie.
Don't
You're
go.
always welcome.
Just
Stay
stick
around.
here. There's so much more to get through, but we do need to go to an ad break. So let's quickly do that ad break, and then we'll come back. We've got CSIR as well that are going to do some predictions for us, but we still want to do this. This is very interesting. This is what this is all about. So stay with us. We'll keep you covered on this front.